What's going on, people? Welcome to the Quarterly Report / Game of the Year podcast. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Richard Bailey Jr.,
What's up, and happy holidays, everybody.
Gary Swaby,
Hey, what's up? Happy holidays. Good to be back. All that
and
stuff.
yes, and Mr. Anthony Nash.
What's up, everybody?
All right, people. So as you already know, Quarterly Report, we're going to talk about the last quarter 4, which is October, November, December. We're going to list our top 3 games from that quarter and our one disappointment. And we're also going to look forward to that one game that we're looking forward to next quarter. And since it's the final one of the year, we're also going to give you our thoughts about, our Game of the Year awards, which are, Richard, they're pretty controversial based on those comments.
Yeah, I think people forget the whole comment about it being our opinion collectively, and they need to remember, when we made those choices, it was because these were games that we played, and we all had opinions on, and we all voted on.
But we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's get into the fun part. All right, top 3 games of the last quarter. Nash, is this your first quarterly report?
No, I think I did one back in the summer.
All right, it's been a long time for me too. But let's start with you, Nash. What are your top 3 games of the last quarter of 2015?
You want me to just go straight down the list, all 3, or you just start with number 3?
Yeah. Start with number 3. Give us a little explanation why, and then you go to number 2, number 1. That sort of.
All right. Yeah. So number 3 was I didn't buy a lot the last quarter, but number 3 is probably Guitar Hero Live. I'm a huge rhythm game fan. I was really into when it was, I guess you could call it the fad, back in like 5 years ago. But Guitar Hero Live was a lot of fun. I'm still playing it now. Just pretty much what you'd expect from a Guitar Hero game. Nothing much has changed except for the buttons. But that's pretty much it. Number 2 was, not many people enjoyed it, but Star Wars Battlefront.
Not many people, even though it sold like a ton.
Definitely did. But Battlefront, again, I was a huge fan of 1 and 2 back when they came out originally, and I can agree with a lot of people saying that this doesn't have a lot of content in it right now. But I'm, hopeful of the fact that EA has promised free DLC, and the game is still a lot of fun to me. It's pretty accessible for people that don't really play shooters. There's not like a lot of classes. It's not a lot to do, but it is a lot of fun, especially if you like Star Wars as well. And then I think number 1, a lot of people might have this as number 1, but Fallout 4, the runner-up game of the year for me.
And why is that?
It's just so massive. It's just, not a lot has changed. It has a lot of the Bethesda things you'd expect. There's some bugs in it, As Tony likes to point out, there's a lot of bugs in Fallout 3. There's not as many bugs in Fallout 4, but there's still some stuff. But it's just so much fun. You could really lose yourself playing a game like that. I put almost like 50 hours in. Probably way more than that, actually. But just a lot of fun, I can say, without spoiling much of anything.
All right, and what's your biggest disappointment of the last quarter?
Oh man, I didn't even really get to think on that.
It doesn't have to be like huge disappointment, but just a disappointment.
Might be a shocker, but Halo 5.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no,
Why is that?
I really enjoyed. Well, I don't want to say I really enjoyed the last couple of Halos, but I was a huge Halo fan through the Xbox and the Xbox 360. But I was expecting like so much more from the story and the multiplayer. The multiplayer really turned me off. I was not a fan of this multiplayer at all. I know they fixed a lot of what was wrong in 4. Like, it doesn't have the armor abilities anymore, and they made it a little better for like competitive people. But still, a lot of the stuff that I've played, I was just not a fan of. And the story itself, I just didn't care for at all. It seemed, I don't know. Like, I don't want to blame 343, but maybe I'm just a fan of what Bungie did with it.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Pretty sure some people are going to have something to say about that. All right, let's move on. Gary, man, top 3 games of the last quarter.
Okay. So my first one, I'm gonna go with the Nathan Drake collection, and I kind of didn't want to go with this just because it's based on old games, but um, there wasn't really that much that I played this quarter, unfortunately. Um, but this was one of the games I played. I reviewed it, and I really enjoyed it. I think they did a great job remastering it. At the first game, they put a lot of work into that, and it runs really great now. I know it had some issues back on the PS3, and people didn't really like playing that game much, and I feel like that game is really underrated as well. Um, People don't really give the first game its props like they should. The second game, obviously, that's the classic one right there. That's like almost everyone's favorite
Oh yeah.
Uncharted game, and I loved playing that again. And third game as well. That was dope.
I need to ask you, did the second one like still live up? Like, did it test, meet the test of time?
Oh yeah, it certainly did. Like I was playing it like it was a new game pretty much,
Wow.
and they did a lot of work on that too to make it more current, more to current standards and stuff. So yeah, um, great collection, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who has PS4 and either hasn't played the games or just wants to play them again before the fourth game. So that's my first pick, and the second is going to be Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and that's because obviously Unity wasn't that great. It had its flaws, its pitfalls, and everything, but I feel like they definitely did their thing with this game, and it's a shame that a lot of people just decided not to get it because of what happened with Unity, because they're missing out on a great game. And
Hey,
as
it's
someone
still
who,
charted on MPDs though.
Hey, honestly, that's why I didn't buy it. So
Yeah, the interesting. I need to jump in about Assassin's Creed real quick because the interesting thing about this game is like the first week it came out, it didn't do that hot, and then the next week it started doing better. You don't usually see that with games, but because word of mouth started getting, I was like, hey, this game's not broken. It's actually really good.
don't
You
worry, this
know,
is a good one again.
yeah, I guess
I think that's what's. Yeah.
that's what people were waiting for. Probably they wanted to hear that it was, that it ran good and everything.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. But yeah, I love the game, and as someone who visits London regularly, because I live on the outskirts, basically, it was good to play it in that Victorian setting and everything. So I really enjoyed that element of it, and the whole World War I build up and stuff with the Tower
Yes.
Bridge. That part they threw in there. That could have easily been like a DLC that they made you pay for or something, but it was in there for free, so I enjoyed that part as well. And my number three is, I think we all know already, Fallout 4. Um, it's like I'm still playing that game now. It's got so much content. I still haven't even beat the main story yet because I've just been doing so much other stuff in that game, like building settlements and just doing all the side quests and everything. Um, and just trying to level up my character. I'm trying to get as much perks as possible as well before I continue on with the story and stuff. So there's just so much content in that game, and they did a great job. I mean, of course, it's got bugs. I mean, what Bethesda game doesn't have bugs? I mean, what game doesn't have bugs? Period. So yeah, I mean, it's to be expected, I guess. And I know there's the argument that Bethesda shouldn't be able to get away with it, but I don't feel like the bugs are game breaking enough, for me to mark this game down. Like it's still an excellent game and one of the best games of the year, in my opinion. So yeah,
All right.
that's my take on it.
Now, disappointment of the quarter.
Disappointment. I'm gonna go with now this is still a good game, but I'm gonna go with Just Cause 3 just because I expected a lot more from it. I don't think it matched what the second game did, in terms of going all out. Like the second game was amazing for its time. Like it was kind of ahead of its time, and it was underrated as well. I don't think a lot of people really got into that game. But this one, I'm hearing, the I didn't play Mad Max, but I'm hearing Mad Max was way better, and the same studio worked on Mad Max, right? I think.
I'm not too sure about that, but I heard
Yeah.
that Mad Max wasn't even that good to begin with, so that's kind of disappointing if Mad Max was better.
No, because Mad Max is a weird game because you hear mixed things about the game. You hear it's like either really great or it's not that good. So I haven't heard any like middle ground opinion about that game.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Right, yeah, because one of the issues with Just Cause 3 as well is it when it launched, it had a lot of issues on PC and stuff with frame rates and everything. So that's kind of what made me put a strike against it as well, because that's such a big it's a popular PC game, let me put it that way, because the second game they modded it, and they even added like a multiplayer mode to it, and then they officially released the multiplayer for it. So it's got a lot of love on PC. So for it to come out and it's kind of like iffy on PC, that was kind of a bad look right there. So yeah, I'm just gonna vote Just Cause just because of that, because it's the only other game that I really played that I could mark down really. So yeah.
All right. Oh man, see. I want to hear what Brian has to say about that one. He loves Just Cause. All right, let's move on. Richard, man, top three games of the quarter.
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and also say I am surprised that Gary did not like Just Cause 3. I look forward to the comment section with that one.
See, I mean, I was thinking to say Halo, but I didn't actually play it, so it would feel wrong for me to say that.
Yeah, you actually get played,
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Nash is going to get enough of guff from people for that one.
I'll get enough for the two of us, Gary.
Yeah. All right, Richard, man, go ahead.
Okay, so let me go ahead and start off by saying this, and I'm gonna say it in this order. The number one pick, obviously, Rise of the Tomb Raider. That game is just again, I can't really say enough about that game. I think the Crystal Dynamics, they really did an excellent job with the sequel, because I know that the first game had a lot of issues, story, the bland characters, but they made this game a lot more personable with the story, and it's just I thought it was an overall better experience. For those that have saw the Game of the Year post, that was voted the best Xbox game, and of course I know it's a timed exclusive, but it was that good that I thought it definitely deserved that, and a lot of people agreed on staff. So I think without question that was one of my best that I played this quarter. Number two, I would say.
Hold on, before you jump in, I need to say this though, because people are trying to give us shit like, oh, why did you put it as Xbox? Why did you put it as a best Xbox game if it's not exclusive? It's an exclusive now.
Yeah.
Can you get it on PC? Can you get it on PS4 now? No, it's an exclusive. All right, so stop with that nonsense. Just have to throw that out there.
Again, going back to that post, it in parentheses it said timed exclusive. So
yeah.
Again, all the information was there, but for some reason people didn't see that. But that's okay. I'll address that later.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got something to say about that too. But yeah, you're the number two pick.
Yeah, number two pick. I have to say, so far, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I haven't played that much of it, but I have played enough to the point where I'm like, yeah, the action in that game is fantastic. I like the setting of London. And I just think that is, again, I do applaud Ubisoft, because I know last year was a very rough year for the franchise with Unity. Was not, had a lot of issues at launch. This game didn't have any issues, and it's also a game that when I saw it for the first time, I was sold. When they had the trailer at E3, I was sold on it. I said, okay, well, hopefully it works. It did work, so I think it was a success. But that definitely deserves some attention. I do recall that there is some DLC that just came out that I just downloaded for the Jack the Ripper storyline, part of the season pass. So I have to check that out, but I'm looking forward to that. But so far, the core game is fantastic. Again, I believe Gary has completed the game, so he probably, has a lot more to say about it than I would, but definitely great so far. The third and final game, and there's a reason why it's number 3 and not higher. I also have to say Fallout 4. Now, the reason why I put Fallout 4 as the last one, it's a game that I was playing I had every intention to play as much of it as possible. But you know, it's a game that has a lot of bugs. But this one particular bug, uh, a bug where there was another game that came out that I wanted to play called Tomb Raider, and that pretty much took me away from Fallout completely. Now I know you probably deserve an award, Tony, because you was able to play that and Tomb Raider at the same time. But see, the thing with Fallout is it's such a massive game. It requires it's so much of your time. It's you know you really have to be good with time management to play that and something else. So when it came to okay, I only have a little bit of time. Am I going to play Fallout or Tomb Raider? I went with Tomb Raider, and I don't regret that decision. I'll go back to Fallout 4, but it's a great game from what I played so far. I'm very intrigued, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time to you know. Obviously, haven't had time yet, but maybe with the holidays, I'll have a little bit more time to get into it.
Yeah. By the way, I saw some. I'm hearing myself. I think I'm coming from you, Rich.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Yeah, I saw this one tweet. It was funny. It's like this is how settings should be in video games from now on. Full-time, part-time, unemployed. I totally agree with that one. You know, if you got full-time, it's like, all right, don't be picking up Fallout. You ain't gonna have time for this. You know. But anyway, so yeah, okay, so that's your number 3. Now let's get to the good stuff, Rich. What is your biggest disappointment of the quarter?
All right, well, oh yeah, before I get to this, I want to let you know we are going to have one more guest joining momentarily.
Okay.
He'll be in here, Mr. Lugo will be in here.
Oh, right, nice.
But as far as my biggest disappointment, and I have to say this right now, I agree 100% with what Anthony said. It's Halo 5 Guardians. Again, you know, as I said in my review, the story is what got me, and in particular, I just cannot get over the fact that Master Chief is not in this narrative as you know, a game this big, this massive. I see how Microsoft marketed the game, and then also the fact that they are selling Halo 5 controllers with Master Chief designs on it, and Master Chief is hardly in the game, so I had an issue with that. Of course, it's not necessarily a bad thing because I do know that we had Michael Lay on the show. He said that it was an awesome game. Ed also said it was awesome. I mean, that's fine. It's understood. They made valid arguments, and I respect those arguments. I'm just saying I wanted Master Chief to be in it a little bit more. With that said, the storyline for Halo 6 could be very interesting based on how this game ended. But again, I don't know. 343, they still got more work to do to convince me that they actually are going to really do an excellent job with the game. Now, I will say that I did enjoy the multiplayer a little bit more than the single player. I did say the multiplayer is probably one of the better multiplayer experiences all year. But I haven't played enough of Call of Duty Black Ops to really say, because I haven't really played that. And as for Battlefront, you already know what I think about Battlefront. The Force is not with me on that game, but
the Force is not with that game apparently.
Well, no, I mean, I mean, I could see the appeal of it. The content issue, because I played Evolve and a lot of these other multiplayer-only games, it's very hard for me to be like, okay, I can enjoy it. But with that said, I do think there probably is something to Star Wars. I don't think it's a horrible game. It's just that it needs more in the content. But with that said, yeah, Halo 5 definitely, that has to be my most disappointing this quarter.
All right, and let's welcome Mr. Jake James Lugo to the building. What's going on, JJ?
How's it going, guys? How you guys all holding up?
Yeah, doing great, man. Doing great. We're gonna throw you right in, bro. What are your top 3 games of the last quarter?
Of the last quarter, just so strictly fourth quarter of 2015?
Yeah, October, November, December, strictly that.
If I had to choose 3 games that were, from October onward, correct?
Yeah, October onward, yeah.
Okay, well, that eliminates my game of the year then. But if I had to choose,
don't worry, we'll talk about game of the year after all this is done. You know.
Yeah, because my game of the year was in September, but like basically, if I have to choose from October onward, like my 3 best games of the quarter that I enjoyed the most and such, obviously Fallout 4 is a big one because that's the one that I probably spent the most time with and had the most immersion with, you know, and stuff that I actually did with it. Because, again, with that one, I ended up writing the guide first, so I spent a lot of time in that world, a lot of time immersed in that whole kind of environment and such. that was a great game, especially for if you're a big fan of Bethesda RPGs. But even then, if you didn't have the background of a Bethesda RPG like Skyrim or anything of the sort, any Fallout game beforehand, you'll still would enjoy that. Another game that I actually enjoyed that I thought was actually kind of fun. I actually like Star Wars Battlefront. You know, subtracting my actual fandom of Star Wars and subtracting kind of like that whole background of like what Star Wars is and like my previous experiences with the Star Wars Battlefront kind of like franchise or series, I still think it was still a fun entry. It has that kind of like Twitch, like small portion, small morsel type of was a thing to it, whereas like, okay, you could sit there and maybe play a match or even just play like a section of a match and you'll be kind of satisfied before you have to go to work type of thing. It's fun, especially when you play with other people online. I feel like that at least that was enjoyable, and I can't get over how good the visuals look in that game. The game still has a bunch of other problems with it, and I still think that that's like a big major thing for it, but it was still enjoyable to someone like me and whatnot. So finally, if I really have to choose, you know, one more game that I felt was enjoyable from this fourth quarter anyway, I mean, it's a little bit tougher because I've played a lot of bad games over the course of like the last couple months. Like there's been quite a number, especially for me throughout the year. If I had to really choose one, I would have to say, I think I would probably have to choose Sword Art Online Lost Song. And the reason why I do that is because besides it being kind of, you know, again, being immersed again in that world of Sword Art Online and just experiencing those characters in an original story apparently that kind of takes place within like the timeline of like the second season of that series, of that anime series or whatnot, it was still enjoyable to kind of get immersed in that world where I'm able to fly around, and it was such a step up from the last Sword Art Online game. If you guys don't know what that was, it was Sword Art Online Re-Hollow Fragment, which again was a re-release of a PS Vita game that was originally in Japan that came over here to the States. So that game was still fun. Again, seeing all those characters once again, it was pretty interesting to do that. It was fun getting a brand new battle system, you know, compared to the last one, which was very confusing as hell. I even said that in my review. I thought that the battle system in the previous game was horrible, and this was a much needed step up for it. So those will probably be my best picks for at least this fourth quarter.
All right. You said you played a lot of bad games this quarter and last year, so picking one disappointment from the last quarter should be relatively easy, right?
Well, yeah, I think that without question, it has to be Afro Samurai 2.
Oh, man.
Afro Samurai, the reason why, and I could say this legit as someone that had it like a couple days prior to the game coming out and such, it was really such a terrible game because there was such a disregard for what makes a game and such disregard for the consumer. Because not only was this game going to be part of like a volume set, like an episodic type of thing, where it was going to have Volume 1, Volume 2, and possibly a Volume 3, at least from what they were talking about. So this one was like the first part of like that big overarching story. And the way they not only end it and kind of cut it off to kind of set up for the second one, I felt was just kind of like a cop-out and felt like the developers were getting lazy. But most of the time, looking at that game, looking at the quote-unquote cutscenes, and I say quote-unquote generously, cutscenes generously in that terminology, that basically I felt like I was looking like an After Effects storyboard session, like just like an actual thing, that it was just so terrible or whatnot. It was just so blatantly just a disrespectful thing to the consumer. Like again, you have to pay for the second episode, even though it's not getting made. But the idea was to pay for the second episode when it was to come out in order to fully power up Kuma, fully power up your main character. So like you would have all these experience points and all these skill points, and you couldn't go beyond to like the last node of the actual level tree, which didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It felt like it was just holding things back for the sake of holding things back, and that's not even getting into the myriad of technical problems with it. It was just hands down worse than Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. It was hands down literally the worst game that has been released this year, without question.
Wow. All right, that's a hell of a way to end off your segment there. All right, as for me, it's almost the same as Richard's. It's actually exactly like Richard's, only in reverse. Completely in reverse. All right, so my number 3 pick is Rise of the Tomb Raider, man. Like, I loved the original Tomb Raider, you know, the one from 2013, the reboot. Thought it was fantastic. I thought this game, it wasn't, I don't like it as much as I liked that game. I felt the first game had a little bit more, like, emotional impact to it, and I thought the level design was better in the first one, but this one is still great in and of itself, man. Like, you know, you don't get a lot of, like, most of the games I played this year were big open world games, so it was nice to get back to kind of basics, a game that kind of just had a linear path, even though it still had some kind of open world elements to it. But I really liked the combat. I thought it was improved from the other game. I like Lara's journey. You know, she's becoming the actual Tomb Raider we remember from the original game stuff, but she's still keeping that depth from the first game. You know, I really enjoyed that. It was just, and it like out of all the games I played, you know, this quarter, I'm gonna say that's the best looking one too. I know some of you guys are going, oh, but Tony, it was 900p on Xbox. It doesn't matter. This shit looked good. You know, easily the best looking game I played the last quarter. Number 2, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I've been a fan of Assassin's Creed since the first one. I bought every single game every single year, but they let me down with Unity. When I heard all the reviews and stuff, and my friends especially, I was like, I'm gonna skip out on that one. It hurt me because I was ready, man. I was ready to jump in again, but I couldn't, you know, give money to like a big fuck up like that. But you know, I was like, let me give these guys another chance, and they didn't let me down, man. It's fantastic. You know, the whole, you know, you pretty much get like central London and stuff, some of the outskirts, and I just love it. For me, I just love hearing all the like crazy British accent, like, oi, was always then. It is hilarious shit to me. And I also like the combat sequences. They were really good. I like the twins. It was because usually in Assassin's Creed, you only play as one main character. This one you get to play as 2. So you had Evie Fry and Jacob Fry. They're like twins and stuff, and they're really good. I like Jacob the most because he's always getting into trouble. Like he's causing more problems than like things that he's resolving, you know. And Evie's always have to, you know, fix his fuck ups. And like Gary said, I really enjoyed the World War One section. I was not expecting it. Like I saw it in the Thames River, that dirty ass brown river. By the way, they captured that perfectly. You saw this thing. I'm like, what the hell is that? I go to it. All of a sudden, I'm in 1911. Winston Churchill's there. He's one of my heroes of all time. One of my biggest heroes of all time. It was just great seeing him in a video game. So that was great. Love Assassin's Creed Syndicate. And number 1 game for the fall. You know, very surprising. Fallout. I was almost not going to buy this game because of my experience with the third game. It was just the buggiest game I ever played, probably in my life. It was just terrible, you know. But this one, no real bugs. Actually, here's the funny part: the bugs didn't actually come until the first update. Then I started noticing bugs like missing elevators and shit. You know, Brahmins stuck on top of roofs and stuff. But I love the expansiveness of it, and you know, like Gary said, I finished the story, right? I got the platinum, by the way, ching ching. But like 80% of the time, I wasn't even touching the main story. I was just, you know, doing regular shit. I love just wandering the world and just getting into random things I wasn't expecting. It's like I'm just walking around. Oh, there's a battle there. Oh, somebody's asking me for help. I love shit like that. It was just, it felt very, very natural. It didn't feel like a lot of those random things were forced. So I really enjoyed that aspect. So you know, yeah, surprising. But yeah, Fallout, fantastic game, man. If it wasn't for a certain other game, it probably would have been my game of the year. You know, a certain game that came on in September, I'm going to talk about. And my disappointment, I'm going to say disappointment, not biggest disappointment, because it's still a good game. I gave it a good score. Need for Speed, I was disappointed in that because you could tell they were trying to do underground, right? But it wasn't exactly there. Like even when I wrote the game, it was hard to pinpoint, but it just felt like the whole world was very lifeless. Like it just had no soul to it, you know. Like you're driving the streets and the beautifully rendered streets and everything. You know, the streets look gorgeous, cars look great. There was no like people at all, and the only other cars you would see cars sometimes, they would just be other racers. I'm like, I don't know, it's like this big city, but it felt like abandoned. Like maybe somebody gave an evacuation order 24 hours beforehand because a flood's about to come or something, you know. It just felt very lifeless. And unlike some people, I actually did enjoy the goofy characters in it, you know, the full motion video stuff, the Sega CDs kind of stuff. I actually enjoyed that, just to defend it. But yeah, overall, even though it is a good game, I'm still disappointed by it. I expected so much more from it, you know? So that's all our picks for, you know, this quarter. So let's get into it, people. Game of the year. I guess we could go down the line and then just talk about, you know, what we thought about the awards that we put out there. JJ, why don't we start with you, man? What was your game of the year for 2015?
For me, my game of the year for 2015 was Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. I thought that was the game that gave the best experience, you know, as a total package, than more so than any other game this year. I felt like, you know, it got a lot of things right, forgetting about all the controversy and the surrounding kind of like publicity and the public spotlight between Kojima and Konami and all that other type of like crazy stuff that was happening throughout the course of the year. The game itself, I felt like, provided not only probably one of the best stealth action gameplay elements ever released thus far. I feel like Kojima really kind of perfected it, or at least got to close as perfect or perfection as he possibly could with this game. I felt like, again, graphically the game looks gorgeous. It has an awesome soundtrack. Has a lot of interesting tracks that you can listen to outside of just like the background music and the instrumentals that heighten the tension or heighten the emotion of what's happening on there. You have characters that you could really kind of like gravitate towards. You might not relate to all of them, but you at least, care about or at least have some sort of vested interest in what's going on with all the characters, even the ones that got a little bit shortchanged, because of the development of that game. There was a lot of stuff to love about that, and there was a big buzz for it, obviously for various different reasons around the time of its release, and it kind of died down as we started getting more into the end of the middle or the end of the fourth quarter when other games started to come out. But I still feel that was the game that got everything right together. I mean, there wasn't a lot of bugs and stuff. There wasn't a lot of glitches. There was one major bug that I know that had a lot of publicity, and it had to involve quiet when you actually bring around a certain mission that the game would like eat your save, but that got patched out really quickly. I remember like Konami had jumped on that like really, really quickly. But overall, again, it just provided the best total package than any other game that I felt this year. So that's why I gave it my game of the year.
Yeah, the reason I picked you first is because I need to jump in on this because that's my game of the year too, Metal Gear. You guys know me; I'm a huge Metal Gear fan. I have been for many years. And this game, to me, despite the fact that yes, and I'm just gonna say now, the game you could tell it's unfinished due to all that drama. Despite that, this is still the best like Metal Gear game you could play. This one is not like previous Metal Gears where it had a lot of cutscenes and very little gameplay. This was the opposite: a ton of gameplay, very few cutscenes. Even though I personally could have used more cutscenes to flesh it out, but yeah, but other than that, man, like I put in like 230 hours. I got the platinum. Like I got serious with this game, man. It's just something about the worlds. They had Africa and they had Afghanistan. Even though they were kind of barren, there was still a lot of stuff to do in them. And like you said, JD, this is the perfect embodiment of what Kojima has been trying to do this entire time as far as stealth goes. This is not only the best Metal Gear game as far as mechanics, best stealth game I ever played. The last really great stealth game I played was Blacklist, Splinter Cell Blacklist. I was like, Metal Gear needs to live up to this and that was a big of me to say that because to me, Splinter Cell was always in the shadow of Metal Gear. I thought the last game surpassed it, but this one blows it away, man. There's just so much stuff you could do, and it of course has those Kojima-isms in there, like the Fulton. You can Fulton out animals and stuff. Great shit, and I really like. I know people get on her a lot. I really like the character of Quiet, especially the way that whole arc ends. I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but I think they did a great way of wrapping up her whole thing, and there's probably a lot more I could say about Metal Gear, but yeah, it's just so great on so many levels, man. So that's gonna be my game of the year for sure. Nash, your game of the year.
Yeah, so I mean, this was actually a pretty tough year to find a game that was like the best of the best. Metal Gear was really good, Fallout was good. I think for me though, The Witcher 3 is my game of the year. Everything that you said about Metal Gear was right, and it's a great game, but I think really what you said about how the world just seems so barren most of the time is really what edged out The Witcher for me. It's just because, The Witcher has a lot of stuff that Metal Gear has. It has a great story. The characters all feel different enough that they all seem like different real people that you'd come across. The fighting in Witcher was honed in a lot and improved upon especially from the first Witcher, where the combat was like an MMO kind of where you were just like clicking a button over and over, to where it is now where you can parry and counter and do all this sort of craziness. But what really boiled it down to me was the world of The Witcher, where it felt like you can run around and see a lot of stuff, versus Metal Gear Solid, where it was Africa and Afghanistan, but it didn't really look any different a lot of the time, and it felt like you were just kind of walking around a barren wasteland until you came across like a little outpost.
All right, Gary, get in here because I know that's that's also your pick for Game of the Year, Witcher 3. Why is that?
Yeah, everything Anthony said, and just CD Projekt's attention to detail, like when building this amazing world, like they did a great job. Because the previous game wasn't fully open world, but this one, it was much more open world. I mean, there were parts where you had to kind of like load to get to the next area and stuff, but like for the most part, it was like a full world that you could explore, and I really loved that. And also Gwent. I didn't think I would like Gwent, which is the card game, but I actually got addicted to Gwent, and I would literally go around to each town and like try and find Gwent players, trying to get like new cards and stuff to
Gwen is
play.
more fun than The Witcher's everything else about Witcher almost.
Exactly. At one point, I was literally just playing Gwent. That was all I was
Yeah.
doing.
Maybe you guys should give Gwent the game of the year then.
I mean, if they release that as a standalone, like, believe me, that would be dope. That would be my game of the year, hands down. But yeah, it's a great game, and CD Projekt, they're a great studio as well. They put the work in. They released a lot of free content for this game as well. They also had, some expansions and stuff that you could pay for, but just the fact that they put in so much free stuff in this game, and, they didn't ask for a dime. They just put it in there just because they appreciate the people that buy their game. So, they're awesome people for that. I didn't actually, beat the story because, the game is so big, there's so much to do. I spent like way over 80 hours in the game anyway, so even if I didn't finish the story yet, I think I'm still qualified to select it as my game of the year. So yeah, that's my choice.
All right, Richard, man, what's your game of the year?
Well, very interesting that I was the next one to go because my game of the year also was The Witcher 3. And just to give a disclaimer to those that wonder, Witcher 3 got a ton of votes. Metal Gear Solid 5 is a game that I personally think I wouldn't have had a problem if that was what won. I was one of the people who I wanted to play that game, but Mad Max came out the same day, and I knew a lot of people was going to jump on Metal Gear, so I decided to play Mad Max, and Mad Max is a decent game. Of course, it's not Metal Gear, so I do have Metal Gear. I intend to play through it thoroughly, but the thing about it is, even if I played it and I voted for it, there was so many votes about Witcher 3. It's just like everything that you guys said about the world, it being charming, immersive, and one thing that I can say about the game is that, me and Gary got a chance to see the game at E3 a couple of years ago when it was just the demo that they had.
Yep. I saw that too.
Oh, you saw it too? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as soon as I saw that, I said, man, I don't know when this is coming out, but this looks like it's a game of the year material. Because if you've ever played The Witcher 2, and you see, just like Anthony said earlier, how they had the combat that was different in the first game, The Witcher 2 was an awesome game, but what they did with this game is they made it a little bit more open world, and again, they really perfected their craft. The combat is completely different in this game than it has been in the last two games. And a lot of that stuff, it does require skill. We have to get better to, basically progress through the game. But I just thought a lot of the game was solid, and for me, it lived up to all the expectations they had for it. Because a lot of people was impressed when they saw that, all these videos coming out for it. So I thought that game definitely deserved the attention, and apparently a lot of people agree because it got a lot of votes. But that was by far my game of the year. I played a lot of it as well, just like Gary. Of course, not enough to. I mean, I didn't beat the game as well, but I did play more than enough to form an opinion, just like Gary just said. So that's why I said that.
That's the running theme with that game. I noticed with people, it's like I haven't beaten it.
So, I mean, like if you play it and you open the map and just scroll through the map, it can kind of be overwhelming. Where you're just like, all right, how am I going to get across all of this stuff?
I would have beaten it. Just saying.
I think what you said about Metal Gear was really what edged it, though, because Metal Gear does seem like an unfinished product at times, especially when you know later on in the story you have to like replay missions or like the original missions. Like that's kind of like it seems like unfinished.
Yeah, I mean, but even that's a glaring thing to me. It still tops out every other game. But that was a big deal. I'm like, why am I replaying shit? You're just stalling for time now.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
But anyway, let's talk about our game of the year posts and stuff. I know that there was some controversy there. Richard, I know you had some thoughts or some things you wanted to say to the fans. So go ahead, man.
I mean, the thing about the post is I try to make it as clear as possible that this was based on the opinion of everybody that's part of the site, those that have written reviews of several of the games that were nominated and won. I mean, pretty much we all had our opinion on what we thought should have won each category. But again, if the number of votes would dictate who wins what, that's pretty much what happens. One thing I did want to make very clear, because I did see a lot of the comments where people asked why wasn't this included. I saw there was a couple comments. So let's go over each one, shall we? The King's Quest. Somebody asked why King's Quest wasn't included. King's Quest Episode 2 just came out the other day. I'm actually writing a review for that as well as the first episode.
Isn't King Quest also a remake? If I'm not mistaken.
It actually is. Yeah, I believe it is. Well, no, I mean it's a new game. Maybe it's inspired.
It's just based on. Yeah, it's like it's inspired by the older ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the main thing is that somebody asked why that wasn't best episodic game. Well, as I have just said, Episode 2 came out a couple days ago. This is a 5-episode, episodic series, which won't end until 2016. So how can we possibly nominate 2 episodes of a 5-part series? We don't know how the rest of the game will turn out. See, that's common sense.
And King's Quest isn't even that bad. It's a lot of fun, but like you said, it's not done yet.
Yeah. See, there you go. Exactly. Another question was about why the expansions or the older games. Well, I do know for a fact that there was a couple of us that did play a few of the games we mentioned. Drive Club motorbikes or motorcycles, whatever you want to call it. A lot of us didn't play that because, I don't know, just didn't play it. Just wasn't interested in enough to play it. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that we didn't play it. Therefore, we didn't include it on the list. That said, that's what that was. And then the other questions about some of the other games that were nominated. Some of the, I guess, the Uncharted. I know there was some people that had an issue because they thought, well, that's some of these older games to be nominated, but these are games that came out this year. They were highlighted. Destiny was a big one that a lot of people did say, why is that included? Because it's an expansion. Sony did not treat that as an expansion. They released a PS4 system based off of that game. And quite honestly, if I could be very candid, The Taken King is the best version of Destiny, better than all the content before.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely, I reviewed that, and it was a big. They treated it because the game is fundamentally changed based off of what the Taken King brought to it. It wasn't just the extra scenarios. It wasn't just the extra weapons that were exclusive to Year 2. It changed up the way that you leveled up the game. It changed up the meta game for the multiplayer, and it changed up the way you did raids. There was a lot of stuff that went into that game.
See, and of course, as JJ just said, he wrote the review. He is qualified enough to know all this information. So yes, I mean. But again, that was why that had to be included. A lot of people, I've also experienced it where I reviewed Halo, and I actually went back to Destiny after that because I was not, I wanted to just take a break from Halo, and I was disappointed with the campaign, so I went back to Destiny. Not to say that has a story, wink, wink, but yeah, I went back to that because it just felt like there was, again, we know that Bungie made Destiny. And I'm not saying 343 is a bad studio, but something about what Bungie makes a game is it has a bit of a more quality to it. It has something about it that's just satisfying, more satisfying than what 343 has done already, in my personal opinion. But 343 is not a bad company. The last thing I will say about that particular post, again, as I said before about the opinions, everything was based on opinion. There was a lot of games that I thought that I was actually surprised didn't win, and I was thinking to myself, that's interesting. But you didn't see me sitting up here complaining. This is just how the votes tallied up. I know a lot of people said, well, why didn't you guys vote for this game? This is a game that I like. Why didn't you guys vote for this game? Why didn't you play this game? The Transformers game. That was another game that, maybe if I wanted to play it at a time, but I know that I didn't play it. it obviously didn't play enough for it to be mentioned or nominated.
I played that game late, honestly. Like that was like an underdog hit because it wasn't that bad when I played it.
So see, there you go, because there was questions about that too, why that wasn't on there. But I know a lot of us didn't play it. And honestly, if a lot of us didn't play a game, then it was going to be hard for us to say, well, it deserves to be on the list. The other thing about the PC, I know Mr. Torrance Davis asked us why wasn't there a PC category. About 85% of the staff on this particular website plays on consoles.
Right.
So obviously,
What did they want? PC what? I mean, like, I feel like The Witcher would have just won best PC game anyway.
Probably or Fallout, depending on where you go.
Elite
kind of
Dangerous.
redundant.
Elite Dangerous is a lot of fun though, yeah. But
Yeah.
well, listen.
Well, we're gonna have a PC category next year because Tony's getting the computer. So he's
Oh,
I also will be getting a gaming PC. I have to wait until I have enough money because we already know that this is not a cheap purchase. I don't care what anybody say. Oh yeah, $500, $600, $700 is nothing. Nah, son, you ain't paying the bills I pay, so it's a lot more expensive than that. But yeah, we will include that next year as well as some other categories that we didn't include. But for the most part, I thought the winners, the games that actually won, I think all those games deserve to win for the most part. Again, I wanted to see Metal Gear on there. It just, I will say this for those.
Well, Metal Gear won some stuff, didn't it, or at least got nominated a bunch of times.
Well, it got nominated. It didn't win, but I will say this. Quite honestly, it got a good amount of votes, but it's just The Witcher The Witcher just dominated the RPG category. The Witcher dominated that as well. So I don't know, man. But I'm not saying that any of the games that didn't win are bad. It's just that it's very difficult to choose when there's so many great games to choose from, and that's what happened.
Yeah, like me personally, I don't see what the big deal is. Like I looked at the list, nominees, winners. I don't have a problem with them because that's just the way it is. We have a staff. We voted. That's how votes go, people. Like some things are not everything's gonna win. You're gonna only have one winner. So I don't know what the beef is, and we had to keep saying it over and over again. Why didn't this get picked? Why didn't that get picked? Because we didn't play it. How many times do you have to say the same thing? How many variations of it? Like I know somebody was giving Charles guff, like, you mean you didn't bring up Rocket League in a conversation? Of course he did. He just got outvoted. Come on, man. And Rocket League ended up winning something anyway.
Yeah. Win Best Indie? Yes, I checked because I know when I voted, I know I had to struggle choosing between that and Ori and the Blind Forest for this year because those games are like both games that everybody.
Yeah.
Both of those games people should play and stuff, but obviously you only have to choose one. And at that point, it's just like, okay, you're not going to satisfy everybody. So at that point, they could either take it or leave it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Rocket League ended up winning like best sports game or something along those lines. Yeah. So why are you beefing? Like it still ended up winning, Like, but I don't know. Even if a game day, look at me for example. Metal Gear didn't win shit. You see me mad? No, because that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Why are you getting so upset because your game didn't win something? I don't understand our mentality. Like granted, our award show is more legitimate than some other award shows out there, but you shouldn't take us as the authority on things. This is the coalition's opinion. You have your own opinion. That's great because that stimulates debate. But I don't really. But the actual list itself, I don't have a problem with it. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I thought it was very well rounded. You know.
And I mean, at the end of the day, if you didn't, just because we didn't pick a game to be Game of the Year, doesn't mean that you don't have to stop liking the game.
Yeah, I was about to say
you like it, that's fine.
Oh, no, exactly. I mean, you should play all the games that we picked and stuff, and all the ones that we nominated are games that everybody should play because this year, 2015, was a year that so many good games came out at the same time that it was a struggle to kind of make the time to play everything because that's a struggle in of itself. But when you got quality game after quality game coming out, like literally at least 2 or 3 every single quarter of the year, that obviously says something that's like a testament to how good the year was for gaming.
Yeah, next year's going to be wild too. Holy shit! If you really think about it,
Definitely, yeah, it really is.
Well, let me just add one other thing about the nominees itself. Yeah, as JJ just said, the point of that was to highlight some of the standout games that we thought were great this year. It was mainly about acknowledging those that we thought were great. And actually, for the best indie, Axiom Verge actually tweeted out when they saw our nomination. So, I mean, that's pretty much what that was to basically, that's what they did. So they did the right thing, acknowledge, hey, you guys, thank you for the acknowledgement. Now, they didn't win Best Indie, but they at least acknowledged they were nominated. I mean, the whole point was to at least mention these are the games that we played and we thought deserved to be nominated, and that's what that was. And then from there, we made our votes. But yeah,
exactly. Anybody else have any thoughts? All right. Anybody have any other thoughts about our Game of the Year list?
No, I mean.
Say again, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I said, does anybody have any final thoughts about our Game of the Year list?
Whatever won. I mean, it's just like you said, it's you vote for it. So whatever got the most votes.
We voted.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody votes for me. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. All right. So since that's the case, let's wrap this up with the most anticipated game we have of the following quarter. That's January, February, March of 2016. So you got to pick one game that you're really, really looking forward to in that quarter. So let's start with Nash. What's your most anticipated game for quarter 1, 2016?
It was probably be a popular pick, but Uncharted 4.
Okay, who isn't picking Uncharted 4? Let's maybe that we should ask Nash. Okay, so what's your most anticipated game?
My most anticipated is going to be Final Fantasy 15 because at least they're saying that's the projected time it's supposed to be coming out in the spring.
JJ, do you really believe him, man?
Yeah, I believe him, and here's the thing: like, if I was dumb, I wouldn't release it in the spring. I'd release it towards the end of the year. If I was dumb and I was being a smart man, right there. But that's still my most anticipated. I mean, I'm looking forward to that game. I don't think we're gonna get Final Fantasy VII Remake next year. They would be stupid to have both of those games released in the same year. But I really think that it'll still come out next year. I have a strong feeling that it will.
Yeah, no, I don't believe him though. That's the only thing. Okay, let's just say this for the sake of argument. If Final Fantasy 15 is coming out in the first quarter, I'll pick that over Uncharted. But I don't think it's coming out.
I don't think that's coming out in the first quarter. Hell with that. I really don't believe.
Yeah, but JJ, what about a game that is confirmed for first quarter? What do you pick?
If a game that is confirmed for first quarter, that's a little tougher then. I mean, I would have. You know what? Come back to me. I'm gonna look at the schedule real quick.
Okay, no problem.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Uncharted. I'm gonna go with Star Ocean just because I don't think Final Fantasy will come out, that soon. But I am waiting to play a really great JRPG, and I've had my eyes on Star Ocean since they announced it, and that's set to come out in March. So that's my choice.
All right, yeah, I'm looking forward to that game as well. But yeah, I can't. Out of everything that's coming, like Uncharted takes the cake easily.
For sure. I mean, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming out. What is it? XCOM 2 comes out in February. I think they remastered Gravity Rush comes out in February. But Uncharted's taking the cake.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll admit it. Obviously, Uncharted 3 was a good game, but it wasn't as good as 2. But I think they're bringing it back to basics, at least to 2 levels. So I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know if I agree with the dialogue choices all of a sudden.
I like it. I think that's a good change.
But it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for Uncharted. That's going to be a big game, man. And here's the thing. Not to get too off track, but we saw how Tomb Raider did, right? It didn't do very well, right? Now, everybody obviously said, oh, it's because, it was an Xbox One exclusive. But I was thinking, based off an article I read about Ken Levine saying that people don't want single-player games anymore like that. I'm like, Uncharted 4 may be a test, right? If that game doesn't sell well, maybe that's a proof that those kind of games aren't wanted. But if it does well, then it says something about possibly Tomb Raider's exclusivity. But we shall see, because that's an exclusive too,
Yeah, well, I think, I don't know, I want to say Rise of the Tomb Raider probably also suffered a little bit just because it was Xbox exclusive. Really just where Xbox is in terms of sales.
One other thing.
Go ahead, man.
It came out the same day as Fallout.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's another thing.
Choose between buying 2 games, and I think that hurt it as well.
Yeah, sure. But let's just be honest though. Like, you have 13 million people that own Xbox Ones, right? Roughly, I think 2 million bought Fallout. There's plenty of room for other people to buy Tomb Raider. Yet they didn't.
That's true.
It's very strange. So we're gonna see how Uncharted is gonna do. Richard, man, I'm gonna guess that your guess is your pick is Uncharted as well, right?
You know, I wish it would be Uncharted. I know Uncharted is going to be fantastic. Now, let me just say this before I give my pick. I'm very surprised that you didn't say Street Fighter 5.
I was gonna say Street Fighter 5, but Uncharted's coming. That's the thing, you know.
Yeah, well, we understand that.
You already know, man, Street Fighter. You know how I feel about Street Fighter, man. But yeah, Uncharted, that's just gonna be too huge.
Well, I believe everybody's looking forward to Uncharted. That with very good reason. We all should. But my game, hands down, for some other reasons, which I'll explain. I believe it's going to be Far Cry Primal.
Ooh, yes, that looks so good, man.
And allow me to take this opportunity to say now that we are going to have some coverage of this next month. I'll give more details about this. We're going to have some very specific coverage about this game next month. But, yeah, that's a game that I think I would have to say I'm looking forward to that the most, only because I'm interested to see exactly how far they take this and how expensive it is, so on and so forth.
2016 is the year of the caveman or barbarian, if you think about it. Like Horizon also has that kind of theme going on. You got Wild.
Horizon looks really cool too.
You know, but that's another quarter, an undetermined quarter. So that's pretty much that. So I just want to wish everybody out there happy holidays, happy New Year, all that. You know, thank you for the support, the continued support. You guys out there definitely made this year the biggest year we've had the coalition, and we expect that things are just going to keep getting bigger and better in 2016. So, you know, I'm humbled by the support. You know, go ahead, Rich.
Wait a second, you forgot JJ and Gary.
Oh, JJ, yeah, JJ, have you determined what you want?
Okay, yeah, the one I think, because I know that Rich mentioned Far Cry Primal, and I was thinking about that, but another one I actually want to give a shout out to that I'm looking forward to, and we played when we were at New York Comic Con, Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge is going to be.
Ooh, okay.
It's coming out in May. It's coming out in May.
That's not first quarter though. That's not first quarter.
Oh, it has to be first quarter.
Yeah, it has to be first quarter,
okay.
First 3 months.
And then I'm going to be like Rich, and I'm going to say Far Cry Primal, because Far Cry Primal looks actually pretty damn cool. The idea that you could bring along a saber-toothed tiger cat, with you. That I think is pretty awesome.
JJ, you could ride a mammoth. That's what sold me. I'm like, done.
That too, yeah.
Give me this
there's a lot of games to look forward to next year. Again, they're scattered throughout. This one's going to be looking up. I mean, we're just coming off a good year. Next year is going to promise a lot of fun titles.
Yeah.
Did Gary say his as well? Or he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I said
it's Star Ocean.
I said Star Ocean is mine.
Okay.
But I also got to give a shout out to The Division, because I'm really interested in seeing how that's going to turn out too.
Yeah, The Division looks pretty interesting as well.
We'll see about The Division, man.
So I just have one thing to say about The Division. I hope it is a good game, but if it's not good, that title will be its downfall, because that will divide the fans. They will not be pleased with the end result. So let's hope it does turn out good for Ubisoft's sake.
Yeah, we'll see about Division. I played at E3. I'm like, really? This is it? I don't know.
I fear that it might fall
kind of generic. Just saying.
I fear that it might have a lot of like Destiny qualities. Well,
that would be a good thing for that game, because if it had Destiny qualities, it's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
You know, but we'll see about Division. There's a lot of good stuff coming next year. I can't wait. But yeah, I said my piece. Again, thank you guys for all the support and all that. Rich, you have any final thoughts for everybody out there?
Yeah, I also did want to give my thanks. Thank you for hosting the show. Thank the fans for tuning in, for helping us have an excellent 2015. We have a lot of exciting things planned for 2016, so we appreciate the support, and we look forward to supporting you guys, as things continue to progress forward. But yes, I hope everyone has a great Christmas, and we will be talking to you.
Yeah, of course. JJ, final thoughts to the fans?
Echoes pretty much of everybody else, what everybody else has said. Thank you for listening and checking out all the podcasts, checking out all the reviews, the editorials, all the news and content we keep posting up on the site. Constantly, you guys keep leaving us comments, keep continuing to do so. All the feedback that you guys could give us, good or bad, is always helpful. And again, just keep coming back and just keep checking out all the stuff we keep bringing to you. We got a lot of fun stuff planned, a lot of ambitious stuff down the line. And it's going to be a fun end of the year. It's going to be a fun 2016. Like, going into it, I have a really good feeling about it. So I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Hell yeah. Gary?
Yeah, I would just like to apologize to the listeners because a huge mistake was made during this show. The game I was most disappointed in should have been Star Wars Battlefront instead of Just Cause 3.
I think you've had some time to think about
I'm
that.
sorry. I'm sorry, Nash, but you know, that game.
I mean, a lot of people are disappointed in it, I'm sure.
But yeah, that's all I got to say. Shouts to Tony for hosting the show.
You don't need to thank me. Oh man, all right, Nash, finish it up, man.
Yeah, everybody else spoke about it pretty well. You know, thanks for the support. Hopefully everybody comes back for 2016. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully everybody gets some of the games that we nominated for Christmas. This way you can play them too.
Yeah, Santa, man. What's up, Santa? Give people games out there. All right, so guys, we'll see you in 2016. Check out the Patreon too. The link is down there in the description. Support us, support us. You know, we do great things for you guys. We do greater things if we had more support. You know, we're not forcing anyone. Obviously, you know, you do it because you love us and stuff like that. You know, obviously, we're still going to bring everything for free, but we'll just have better content. You know, if you help us out a little bit. But that's it. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Richard Bailey Jr.,
Peace out, everybody.
Gary Swaby,
May the force be with you.
Jake James Lugo,
Stay epic, everybody. Enjoy your holidays.
Anthony Nash.
Happy holidays, everybody.
All right, guys, we'll see you. Peace.